The real key to success. Talk about it.
It's kind of a joke because there is no key to success. I believe there isn't a key, it's a combination lock, similar to a padlock at the gym, similar to the pin on your phone, similar to the reason they take your fingerprint when you're getting in trouble. Is there is no key, it's a combination lock, and we all have our own unique combination.
Entrepreneurs, we're not only bringing on a marketing expert today, growth-minded individual helping leaders with strategic marketing, podcast production, and community building resources, which I love, but he's also the host of another awesome and another internationally recognized podcast, Real Business Connections. If you're checking us out on the video or the reels, you see it in the backdrop right there. With that, Ben, thank you so much for joining us here on That Entrepreneur Show.
What's up? What's up, Vincent? We're going to have some fun, man. I'm going to get my chair comfy and let's have a good time, dude.
Absolutely, we will. And everyone, I have to welcome you back to That Entrepreneur Show, one of the top podcasts for small business owners and entrepreneurs to navigate an industry with no textbook, no blueprint, just networking and learning from successful business owners like we have today. Once an underdog and now a successful entrepreneur, he is passionate about helping others achieve their potential. He's on a mission to move the needle on 1 million lives, one conversation at a time. And I absolutely love that quote. Today, we are brought to you by ComingAlivePodcastProduction.com. Head there today for free resources, free call, or to get your journey started today. And as I mentioned, we're going to be hopping into a lot of marketing stuff, a lot of growth tactics, but I like to bring it back in time here, Ben. You're successful entrepreneurs, several businesses really took off during the COVID time, which I love to learn. What led you to actually want to be an entrepreneur, be on your own?
To be honest, I never really imagined I'd be an entrepreneur. I didn't have Bezos or Musk on the wall. I didn't look up to Brene Brown or Oprah. Like, I wanted to be a basketball player. When I was in elementary school, I literally had a jersey for every single day of the week. Now that it's legal in New York, I feel like I can say it, but like in high school, I sold weed. That was entrepreneurial, but I never imagined I'd be an entrepreneur. I went the typical path. I was a huge music fan and music advocate. So I loved basketball, but wasn't very big, never made it to the NBA. Found music, found my tribe in music. And in 2016, I actually launched a music podcast in my local city, Rochester, New York, called Rochester Groovecast. And I did that basically because I wanted to get into places for free. So Music Ben was a music podcaster, a blogger, was doing entrepreneurial stuff, but was more just a creator and a fan. I had a day job. And then when the pandemic hit, I had just started a new role, new company, sales executive, like 15th floor, pictures of the city, beautiful place. But the pandemic hit, we were doing video and we were doing travel, basically video production throughout the States. No travel, no in-person, no video, no fulfillment, no sales. Ben got let go pretty quickly. So I was an accidental entrepreneur. So I know this story's been told that COVID changed everything, but that's where it all started, man. I didn't imagine I would be. I got my feet wet in the music industry just for fun. I developed skills for podcasting and communication in the music industry. I discovered marketing chops in a corporate role. And when the pandemic hit, it kind of just forced me into entrepreneurship. Music Ben was broke, unemployed, and non-essential. So business Ben's an entrepreneur. Let's start a Rochester, New York business podcast. And nowadays it's international. We do still have a Rochester segment. But man, it's been like 5 years and it's crazy. But things happen for us in the best ways sometimes.
Absolutely. You mentioned your first show in 2016.
Yeah.
That is some pioneer level stuff there. I mean, I know, I think around 2013, it started to gain a little more noise. People, it was like Bitcoin kind of, right? We're like, oh, what's this, right? We don't know if it's going to stick around. And now you stuck it out, multiple shows. Everyone will have to bring him on Pot O'Clock at some point to give you some real insight on how he accomplished this, some tips for the trade. But now I want to dump into something real fun here. You like to talk on this a lot. how to go from zero to hero in under 1 year. You just teased it a little bit, so I wanted to bring this question up here off the information sheet, even if you're broke and hopeless.
Yeah. And we'll give the short version because we could probably do 10 hours on just this. And there's a lot of little things, but I'll give the full, and you can ask me if there are any specific questions. I'll give you the full framework here. I started a Rochester, New York business podcast. Now, I'm going to share this not to be prescriptive, to be descriptive, because people can fill in their city, they can fill in their niche. Maybe you don't start a podcast, maybe you start a blog, maybe you do something else. But I started a local podcast called Rochester Business Connections because I needed some. And on LinkedIn, a connection request, a friend request was called a connection request. So I got on LinkedIn. Now think about this. I'm a minnow in an ocean of sameness. I'm starting a marketing firm. I have chops when no one knows who I am, and there's millions of marketers out there. So Rochester, New York already creates a smaller pond. So we're talking niches here, but even just picking your city creates a smaller pond than trying to be the biggest person on earth. So now I'm in a smaller pond. I do Rochester, New York podcasting for business owners. So it's the smallest pond possible, and now I'm the biggest Rochester, New York business podcaster quickly. And since I was a business owner and I was talking to other business owners, there's a high probability they could become mentors of mine, they could become peers and or referral partners, but also they, in theory, can become clients. Now, I'm not there pitching them, but there's one thing I can do better than most of them, and that's market stuff. So I'm talking to business owners while I create content, while I learn, and I use LinkedIn to reach out to SUNY Brockport, State University, New York, Brockport alumni, where I went to school, and I basically said, like, hey, Vincent, I went to SUNY Brockport as well. See, you're a business owner. Congrats on making it big time. That was the first message, right? Now, if they don't respond, no harm, no foul. I sent like 100 of those messages. But if they don't respond, you move on. And if they do respond, I'd say something like, hey, I have a music podcast locally, but I'm transitioning to a Rochester business show highlighting local leaders. Would you like to come on and inspire my audience? Now, think about the success rate on that quote-unquote pitch. It was insanely high. Now, some people are introverted, maybe didn't want to, but CEOs and leaders were showing up in their pajama pants, and I got to ask them anything I wanted on the podcast. So what I did is basically, originally was a 22-episode launch in November of 2020, episode a day, Monday through Friday. Then they did 3 a week, then did 2 a week. But basically more equals more in a scenario like this because I was networking like crazy.
Yeah.
So I want people to be able to apply this to whatever they're doing. Start something. Be the center of gravity. Start something and attract people to it. And if you're attracting in mentors, if you're attracting in peers, and you're attracting in target clients, you can build thought leadership in a brand. And a podcast is such an easy way to do it. But maybe it's a blog. Maybe it's putting on events. I put on live events as well. Maybe instead of trying to get attention at an event, you host the event, and now they have to give you attention. So start something, attract your target connections to it, and it kind of creates itself. I don't know if it makes you a hero in under a year, but I was able to replace my sales executive income in a year. And I don't say that to brag. I'm really just impressing upon the point that it took my entire life to learn the skills to make it possible. But by applying myself in this strategic way, the rest is recent history, I suppose.
I love what you said there, and I put it down in the show notes here where you're talking about niching down, but then niching down again, right? And that's something that I'll shout out Shane Smith, someone on my board, where keep niching down. Like this show, for example, that entrepreneur show could be niched down to that entrepreneur show for accounting professionals or hospitals, right? Hospital owner or private practice owners, something like that. So I love that advice there. Thank you for sharing that. Everyone, be sure to stick around to the end of the episode so you can find out not only how to get in touch with him, but how to get his podcast on your playlist. And now let's dive into something that you're an expert at again, how to start marketing even when you're clueless or scared of selling.
I touched on it, so I'm going to reiterate a point. Just create something that gives you an opportunity to highlight others. If you don't know how to market and you don't know how to sell, just promote others out of goodwill. And what I mean by that is you can reshare their post. Reshare their post. I didn't have to create any content. I just reshared someone's post and said this is something I learned from it. When you're on someone's email list and you like what they're sending you, reply to it. You'd be amazed. Someone will send 1,000 emails on their list and get 0 replies. Be the one reply. Reply to that. Ask people to do collabs. Let's say you're a graphic designer. Grab a quote from that email. Maybe your reply says, hey, I'm a graphic designer. I love what you said in this email. Can I turn it into a graphic and tag you? And then we can kind of reach a better audience this way. So then you get on LinkedIn, you tag them, they have a bigger audience than you, it starts to come your way. You get on Instagram, collaboration post, they have a bigger audience than you, it comes your way. So instead of marketing myself, what I do in the podcast is I just market others. Like a big part of what I do is marketing and some podcast production for other thought leaders. And the best way I can market myself is just do a really good job on the podcast. Do a really good job on the promotion. Have really good systems that like make my guest feel good. And if you just do systems well, and if you add value everywhere, that's going to market you. You don't have to talk about how cool and great and handsome you are. You talk about how awesome other people are. Then their audience comes your way, and then they become ambassadors for you as well.
I love that message. I try to promote this something similar where when you guest on another podcast, you're putting yourself in front of a whole new network, right? Something strategic where, okay, you have similar audiences. I'm going to invest some time and go on the show. Now, like you said, sharing more content, getting new listeners and downloads. So that's absolutely incredible. Everyone, remember to subscribe to stay current so you don't miss testimonials like this, because now we're talking about how to turn LinkedIn into a social selling machine. I know our listeners will get a ton of value from this.
Yeah. I've actually stopped posting content on most platforms. But what I like about LinkedIn and what I like about email and what I like about I actually have a community at weallgrowtogether.com, but like having your own community, having your own email list, having your own LinkedIn account that's well put together is you can send messages that they can't deny. They have to see. If I post a piece of content, the algorithm decides. There's a lot. You're kind of just sending it up and hoping the ether's on your side. Now, you can block me all day because I don't spam people. But when you send a DM, when you send an email, they see it. Or they ignore you, and that's fine as well. I'm always down with that. So I am literally living in the DMs. I used to spend so much time on trying to create the perfect piece of content. Nowadays, I just get on LinkedIn, I send DMs, I start conversations, but similar to having a podcast, which I mentioned, to invite people from LinkedIn onto the show, to I host a monthly networking event, and then my community, there's 3 events a month, so I host events all the time. I use LinkedIn to invite people to stuff. So as an example, Jordan Harbinger spoke at my mastermind once, and it's a paid group, but I have as many free passes as I want because I run the group, and Jordan's a pretty big name, so I went through anyone who comments on Jordan's posts, anyone who's connected, anyone who seemed like a super fan of Jordan. I send them a message, hey, I'm a friend of Jordan's as well, appreciate all your insight on this post. Would you like a free pass to do an Ask Me Anything with Jordan? And then I use LinkedIn as that social selling tool to invite people to events, invite them to podcasts, invite them to the community, find ways to add value. And then once that connection's made, it's easy to talk about products and services. Notice one thing I didn't say is I'm not just cold pitching them. I'm basically pitching them on an opportunity that they would love to be a part of, and I'm giving it to them for free. Come to this event, come to this podcast, this and that. And then once the relationship's built using that social selling tool, then you can offer products and services because trust is already there. That's the short version. We could go all day on LinkedIn.
Well, I love what you said there. Everyone, check out his content on LinkedIn, how we've been communicating as well. He's got a lot to offer. And as he just said, He's just scratching the tip of the surface there with that. And it certainly is motivating me, right, to get through the rest of the day here and now. We've got a few more areas I want to cover here, everyone.
Cool.
The real key to success. Talk about it.
It's kind of a joke because there is no key to success. I believe there isn't a key. It's a combination lock, similar to a padlock at the gym, similar to the pin on your phone, similar to the reason they take your fingerprint when you're getting in trouble. Is there is no key. It's a combination lock, and we all have our own unique combination. So what are you called to do? What are your skills? What does your audience need? Who are your mentors? What is your platform? What is your why? We can go all day. I think there's no end destination. We're constantly evolving. And the more I learn about my personal self, the more I find the right mentors, the right community, the right strategies for me, rather than just following a playbook that someone said I should follow, actually following what works for me. Then you find a new digit, and then you start unlocking stuff. And then you have as many keys as you want because you have skills in multiple areas and you have the right community. But there is no single key to success. The real key to success is finding your key, your fingerprint, and then showing up and giving that to the world. So it's kind of a trick question for what it's worth.
Well, I love what you said there because you have to not be in any way one-dimensional. You have to find ways to continue to grow and look at your brand. You've continued to done that. I was really thrilled to learn about the 2016 show. I think that's really impressive. And now everyone, his podcast is called Real Business Connections with Ben Albert. Let's talk about what we should know about this show if someone's just hearing it for the first time today.
The conversations are real. They're raw. I'll be transparent. Like, I don't know what I'm doing half the time. And I use the podcast as a journal, as a learning tool. I believe we all grow together. We all level up together. The last thing I want to do is be the guy. So dating tips are a good example. We mentioned Jordan Harbinger. He had a podcast called the Pickup Podcast way back in the day. Then he had the Art of Charm. Now the Jordan Harbinger shows like Crimes and Cults. And as you mature and you age and your interests change, so should the audiences. So my podcast has been a diary of day one, networking in Rochester, New York, learning even what a freaking CRM is, to nowadays talking like to Scott Rouse from the Behavior Panel all about body language, and Jordan Harbinger about his journey in podcasting, and Chris Doe about branding. And it's like when I learn more about marketing, business, but even beyond that, stories behind it and human behavior, I bring on the best minds in the exact topic I'm curious about. Super selfish over here. I bring in the best minds in the topic I'm curious about. I ask the questions the listener needs, and I document it as we go. So if people want those topics or those areas or just see what I'm falling on my face on trying to do this week, Real Business Connections is a good place to do that.
I appreciate you sharing that. And everyone, stick around just a little longer. We'll tell you exactly where to find it because now we're going to run it with the ending question here. Ben, if you could sit down with any entrepreneur, dead or alive, who are you going with?
I kind of have a weird answer. I don't know if anyone said this. I don't even know if he's an entrepreneur. Can we say Jesus Christ?
He present day would be a brand influencer, right? So let's talk about why.
He was the king evangelist. The way he was able to build tribes. Whether what he said is true or not, I'm not going to pretend I know exactly what the truth is.
Yeah.
But my God, did he do a good job convincing the world of it, dude. I'm sure a God's up there. I don't know it's exactly what Jesus said. I'd love to ask him about it because no one has ever built something so big in modern times as Mr. JC, so I got to give it to him.
Let's delve a step deeper here, Ben. Where would the meeting go down if you could choose that too?
Wow. I mean, it would probably be somewhere like Israel. There's a lot going on there now. But it's interesting. Part of why Jesus Christ comes to mind is I was actually born and raised Jewish. I had a bar mitzvah. Over time, I haven't really followed Judaism. I'm very spiritually curious. And I want to hear his perspective as a Jew, and I was a Jew, and I presume it would be in Jerusalem or something like that, Just for I'd let him pick the spot for what it's worth.
Oh man. Well, thank you for sharing that. And Ben, thank you so much for joining us here on That Entrepreneur Show. Everyone tuning in, I hope you enjoyed it as much as me. I saw a lot of value coming consistently. So be sure to subscribe to his podcast as well and subscribe here so you stay current. And Ben, where can the good folks tuning in say hello to you? And then, of course, check out everything you have to offer.
Yeah, hit some 5 stars or leave a review. Whatever's in front of you, hit thumbs up or 5 stars, type something. Type in real business connections wherever you found this. You'll find the podcast. And if you want to join the community of other like minded entrepreneurs, multiple events, a forum, that's all weallgrowtogether.com. It's in the URL, weallgrowtogether.com. If that speaks to you, go to that link. But Vincent, man, thanks for the time. This kicked butt.
Yeah, you're an absolute rock star guest. Everyone, be sure to go check out that podcast because while everyone says, oh, there's 5 million shows or whatever, I think less than 10% have done 10 episodes. And he's someone who has done way more than that, bringing experience from 2016. I hope to be a guest on his show one day and hope to also bring him on Pod O'Clock because this was a very productive conversation, I think, for everyone tuning in. My name is Vincent A. Lancy, and it's been a joy to host you here on another week right here on That Entrepreneur Show. Ben, thank you one more time.
Peace. Thanks, Vincent.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode. I would love to hear your feedback. What did you love? What do you want to see more of? Are there any questions you would like me to ask the guests who come on the show? This show is not possible without you, the amazing listeners, so please email us at podcastsbylancy@gmail.com and let us know what you think. We'll also feature you on a later show. Please remember to subscribe to stay current with our amazing community of guests who will continue to come on the show, sprinkled in with solo episodes from me, Vincent A. Lancy. With that, I look forward to introducing more shows to you each and every week. And with that, we're signing off today. Enjoy the episodes and make it a great day ahead.